The Colt 1911 Competition Series, let's check it out. Guys, when it comes to a Colt 1911, I mean, it's the original. And ever since 1911, Colt has been making really high quality 1911s, serving all the way through all the major wars that we've seen over the past century plus for 110 years. And it's just one of those firearms that, has a lot of mystique about it because it was used by the military up until 1985. But this is the competition series, and there are some upgrades to this pistol and some features on it that are different. And one of them is it's gone back to the 70 series action, which makes a better trigger pull. But also there's some other things about the Colt competition that really set this apart. But yet there are a lot of other 1911s out there, some really high quality, some that even surpass the quality of Colt. But for the price and for having just a Colt 1911 in your hand, there's just something good about that. Now, this is a loaner from one of my patrons, Thad, and I really appreciate him letting me borrow this for this review. Now, this is the Colt 1911 Competition, and it's in 45 ACP. They do make it in 9mm and 38 Super in the stainless steel version. And again, it does come in a stainless steel version. This is designed around competitive shooting. And one of the big things they've done is the front strap here is smooth. And in a lot of different categories with competitive shooters, you can't have any kind of stippling on the front. And that goes from the original Colt design. Secondly, there is a really nice undercut right here. And so this allows you to get your hand up higher onto the frame. And there are a lot of other features that just help to mitigate the recoil and make it easier to get back on target quicker. 2 8-round magazines that are stainless, and that's 8 plus 1 in the chamber. And let's go ahead and make sure that the gun is unloaded. We're going to drop our magazine. These are marked Colt 45 Auto on the bottom, and the gun is empty. Now, there is just a little bit of a bevel for the magazine well, but not a lot, so it still goes in pretty easy. Now, with the competition model, you get G10 grips that are blue. They're very textured, has the Colt logo on it, and has a thumb rest right here. The high ride beaver tail, which I love, the grip safety with the memory notch, and this just allows you to get your hand up high on the pistol. Also, we have a Delta style or Commander type hammer, skeletonized hammer. We have just one side safety. It is extended, but it's not ambidextrous. We do have one of the skeletonized triggers that has a set screw so you can reduce the over travel. And again, this is in the 70 series configuration. So that means that the firing pin block is not present, which that was introduced with the 80 series. And the parts in the 80 series would actually interfere a little bit with the trigger. A lot of guys really prefer the 70 series, including myself. We have Novak sights, which are low snag. It is a black outline in the back. Fiber optic Novak sight in the front, and it does have a couple of fiber optic rods. You can switch out the colors. And this is dovetailed in, and so you're going to be able to change the sights out if you so please. Now, the frame itself has been undercut right here at the trigger guard, and this allows you to get your hand up higher onto the pistol, which allows you to get it higher, a lower bore axis. And so that has a lot to do with this undercut. A lot of Glocks have the undercut because it creates that Glock knuckle, but it also helps to get your hand further up on the pistol. And kind of to demonstrate this, if you grip the pistol down here low, you can imagine the recoil is going to be much more excessive. And so then when you bring it up higher, it's going to help to control the firearm. And that's one of the big reasons why it's important to get way up on the frame of the pistol. And then of course you have this high ride beaver tail that also allows for you to get that really solid grip as close to the slide as you can. Fairly wide slide serrations on the rear, no front serrations on the slide. Also, there's no Picatinny rail, which I really like that kind of configuration because it just gives it that classic look, and yet you do have upgrades. This has your standard barrel bushing setup, and you have your recoil spring plug, but it does have dual recoil springs, and so that really helps to mitigate the recoil according to Colt, so it just softens the recoil and the slide action coming back. The magazine release is nicely checkered. It does jettison the magazines out. And then you have your slide stop right here. The port has been flared, and that way, it handles those jacketed hollow points or self-defense ammunition. And we have a flat mainspring housing in the back. This is polymer, and it is just serrated. Now it has a 5-inch National Match barrel, which is going to give you good accuracy. And with the 5-inch, that is the traditional government size or full size. And then, of course, with the full frame, which is all steel, it gives it a lot of heft, and it will help mitigate recoil. And here we have your standard Colt government model. This is a 70 series, so this one's been around for a while. Nice hot salt bluing, so it really just gives it a beautiful look to it. You'll notice the serrations are a lot closer than they are on the competition model. This little nub grip safety and the tanged hammer. This can give you slide bite if you really have large meaty hands. It's never bothered me. With the extended beaver tail, it definitely gives you more recoil management. Of course, the standard wood grips compared to the G10, and just your regular GI trigger and GI sights. Also 5-inch barrel. The mag release is serrated, but the mag release on the competition is checkered. And again, you can see the difference with the triggers. And your standard frame safety compared to the extended frame safety on the competition as well. This is a single action only pistol, which is traditional with the 1911s. We're going to just drop our magazine to make it easier. Once you load a magazine and you insert it into the pistol, and then you rack the slide, you enter around into the chamber. And then a lot of people will just go ahead and put their safety on. And that means you have one in the chamber and then you have a full magazine. And this is considered cocked and locked. And it's the way a lot of people carry these. In fact, I recommend that if you have a 1911 to carry it this way. Your grip safety, though, is going to keep this from firing even if you pull the trigger, unless you depress the grip safety. Now, with it in this position, there's no action. So that makes it single action. Obviously, when you do load around, every time you fire, it's going to rack the slide and enter a fresh round. And so it's just the way that these were designed originally. Of course, now we have the double single action pistols like the SIG P226, and then of course with all the striker fire pistols as well. This is just single action only. And honestly, this is a safe way to carry, because once you load around in the chamber and you put the safety on, it's not going to fire unless you grip the grip safety and then disengage your safety and then pull the trigger. So it is a very safe pistol. And guys, there's a lot of people out there that just don't trust striker fire pistols. In fact, I was talking to a guy the other day. He was like, I just don't trust them. And so this will give you your safety and your safety, which this safety is almost just, there's no thought to it. You just press it down, drop your safety, and you're ready to fire. And so the 1911 is very fast to deploy, even with the frame safety. As far as slide to frame fit, man, it is nice and tight. There's a little bit of play, which is typical for Colts, because they say that it really adds to reliability. But overall, it is a nice, solid fit. When it comes to your trigger action, 1911s are known for having exceptional triggers. Now we have the hammer in the rear position, just a teeny bit of take up, hit a wall, did a really crisp break. Reset, real fast. We're going to check the trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. 3 pounds, 13.3 ounces. 4 pounds, 3.7 ounces. Around the 4 pound mark. Weight on the Colt 1911 competition. 2 pounds, 7.2 ounces. It definitely has some heft to it. I want to thank Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo. All made in the USA, one of the largest suppliers of ammunition in the country. We're shooting some 230 ball, just getting this old workhorse going. Got a number of magazines too. Guys, when you take a 1911 out to the range, it's just a lot of fun to shoot. Yes, it does have some recoil with the 45, but it's more of a shove, whereas your 9mm typically is more of a push. And so, while it does have a little more recoil, there's something just satisfying about it. I like the big bore. It's a slow-moving bullet, but yet it's very effective. And the pointability of the 1911 is one of my favorite things. I mean, it's so easy to point. The balance is nice. John Browning did an excellent job designing this pistol, and that's the reason why it's lasted for over 110 years. But one of the things that really separates the competition model is this undercut at the trigger guard. It brings your hand really high up on the pistol. And then again, with this beaver tail, the grip safety. Again, it gives you a lot of just gripability to it. You feel like it's almost an extension of your hand. And with the grip safety, it actually spreads out the recoil and it helps to mitigate it. But even then, when the gun comes up from recoil, it settles right back down on that front sight. And so it's one of the things I love about a 1911. So it's really quick to fire. Again, the balance, the pointability is just exceptional. In fact, I don't know of any other firearm. The weight does add to that, and it does help with the recoil. But there's something about just taking a all-steel frame 1911 and 45 ACP, to me, that there's just no substitute. Yes, 9mm has now surpassed 45 in popularity for the 1911. But the 45 1911, to me, it's just got a lot of soul to it. And I cut my teeth on the 1911 shooting competitively with IPSC and IDPA. And so to me, this is like coming home. It has that classic 1911 design and that mystique of being a military firearm, and yet still, again, just as popular today as it ever has been. No texturing on the front strap. It does make it a little different if you're used to shooting that way. For me, I've been shooting 1911s with that smooth front strap ever since the beginning. But it does give you a little more gripability. I like that it's clean. Of course, it doesn't have any kind of Picatinny rail. And of course, for competitive shooters, it doesn't need one. But to me, it just keeps it really streamlined. And again, it really adds to the balance. And then, of course, just your serrations on the back, which have been widened from the original, but no serrations on the front. Honestly, we had no malfunctions whatsoever. We were shooting 230 grain ball, but it will take your jacketed hollow points. It's got a really nice crisp trigger. 1911s are known for good trigger pulls, but with the 70 series, it makes the trigger pull even better. And so I love 70 series 1911s because you can really get some excellent accuracy. All right, for disassembly, we've got the magazine out. We're going to check the chamber, and it's empty. First thing you want to do is to come right here to the recoil spring plug, depress it, and bring around your barrel bushing to 9 o'clock. Now be careful, this is under spring tension, so just release it slowly. And I go ahead and take the plug out. And then we take our barrel bushing and we just turn it to the 3 o'clock position, and it does get bound up in the springs a little bit, or actually 4 o'clock. And then you can just remove your barrel bushing, and this is one of the solid barrel bushings which they're using now. Next, we want to pull our slide back really to this first notch, and then just take your slide stop and then just pull it out. Now just take your slide and just pull it right off of the frame. And then we pull out our recoil springs and our guide rod. Again, you can see that it is dual recoil springs. Drop your barrel link and just push it out the front of the barrel, just like that. And so guys, that's all you need to do to field strip. And honestly, it's not that difficult. But with your Colt 1911, I mean, it's just that Colt quality. This one's been around for a while. It's not a brand new gun. So, you know, you will see a few scuffs and things on there, of course, with the slide on the frame. And then here with the slide, same thing, just that basic good old Colt quality. And your 5-inch National Match barrel. And it is marked Colt 45 Auto NM for National Match. And the end of the barrel is very satisfying. For reassembly, just in reverse order, we want to put in our barrel, go from the front. Go ahead and put in our recoil springs and guide rod. Bring up your barrel link, just set it into place. Now this little barrel link right here is what your slide stop is going to go through. So when you're reassembling this, that's a key part. Let's go ahead and put it over our frame. Now always check right here to make sure that the link is aligned, and so then when I drop in my slide stop, it hits that the right place. And that holds the barrel in, so you can pull on your barrel to make sure you have that in place. Now when you're bringing this up, you'll notice that there's a small detent right here, and you don't want to scratch your frame. Looks like it's been scratched just a little bit. This is the first time I have assembled this one, or disassembled it. And you want to kind of push up, making sure that hole is in the right place, and just push it in like that. And then bring it forward. Next, we're going to go ahead and put our guide rod on here, and then bring in our barrel bushing, 4 o'clock, and then we're going to turn it back to the 9 o'clock position. Drop down your plug and bring around. There we go. And now it's right in place. And we're back in business. Now you get a nice hard case, and of course you get your pistol, you get an extra magazine, you get the replacement rods for your fiber optic sight, and this comes with blue, the orange, and a green. And you get your lock, and also the owner's manual, and your chamber flag. And one of the beauties of the 1911 is there are a ton of holster options, a ton of sight options, a ton of grip options, beaver tails, triggers, you name it. I mean, you can do it, because again, these guns have been around for over 110 years. And again, it's very popular. So it's one of those kind of guns that you walk into just about any gun shop and they'll typically have a holster, possibly grips, sights, and so it's really easy to maintain. Now the MSRP on the Colt competitive blued model in 45 ACP is $949. It's a little more for the stainless steel. I believe it's like $50 more. And then the 9mm is actually a little bit less. So you can go to the Colt website and kind of peruse, but definitely market price is going to be less. And guys, while the prices of guns have risen, that's a traditional thing. In fact, this Colt right here, I bought back in the late 1980s, and it was $350. And so prices have gone up, and they've gone up across the board. It's not just Colt. But with the workmanship and the craftsmanship into the 1911 to really make it optimal, I mean, it does cost a lot of hand fitting, a lot of labor. It's labor intensive, and that has a lot to do with the price. The polymer frame pistols, they're very easy to put together. They're pretty much like Legos, and they just fit. And so there's not as much hand fitting, and so that has a lot to do with the price that they cost. So guys, there's a lot of choices out there for 1911s, and you can go all the way from your basic GI model all the way up to a Nighthawk Customs or a Wilson Combat. I mean, they can get really super expensive. But for a really high quality 1911, the Colt has been really known for that. And yet the price isn't thousands of dollars. And so picking up a nice Colt 1911, especially one with some really nice features to it, yet the simplicity, it really gives you a lot of satisfaction at the range, but it also can be used as an excellent home defense firearm. And if you got the Moxie, you can conceal carry it. For me, it's just a little bit too big. Commander model, yeah. The government, it's all in. And we really appreciate the loaner from Thad for letting me borrow it. I've had it for a while, but he's patient. And he has one of my Springfield Armory 1911s. Rubber Dummies is one of the best training tools on the market, and you get a 10% discount using Sootch00 when you click the link down in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. It's not anything that's really that big of a, it's not really that much of a, okay, fudge. On the front of the strap, of the grip, okay. It does have dual guide rods. It does have dual, okay, guide rod. You get a shot until the magazine, okay. Blah, 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 blah. Good gosh. Ah, 1911. Such a good year. You know, it just has a lot of classic soul to it. Has a lot of classic. Depress your grip plug. Your grip plug. What is a grip plug? The manufacturer suggested retail price for the 45 in blue is $400. Oh, 400, man. I'm gonna buy a load of these.
You got the moxie? You ain't got the moxie.